everybody. Welcome back to Best Life and Beyond. This is our weekly BLAB.
Yeah, I think we're maybe a little bit behind on blabs.
We are behind on blabs, as the kids are saying. This was a big week. We have a lot to talk about. Obviously, Disneyland reopened this week, the huge grand reopening, and we're going to dive into a lot of the details regarding that of how it went.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, we're going to kind of talk about, what to expect, some kind of thoughts we've had.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into a little bit more about like our shoes, what we recommend, our reviews. As you know, we got our Hokas, the wait times, checking IDs, kind of go into the questions.
It's like how we navigated it, and to give you some insight of when you go, how you can better navigate it and approach it, because there's some differences. And a lot of us haven't been to theme parks in a long time. We have a little bit, but
we're gonna basically just discuss our time, and remember, this is kind of like our casual chat. We actually normally film this at night.
We do,
but as you can see, we got our coffee because it's the morning still.
I'm still wearing my edit pants, as I call them, my Disney, my Mickey Mouse. Some people were asking what these were. They're like Mickey Mouse pattern.
If you watch our merch search from World of Disney, they were in there, so you'll be able to
that's where I got them.
Yeah.
They're the most comfortable pants ever.
So we're just kind of, decompressing from the last 5 days. It's been pretty much a week almost to the day, pretty close to it, since we've actually made our first trip back into Disneyland.
That's crazy. And we're already a week in.
It's just crazy to think that we've actually come this far, that like we're in it. We're several days into Disneyland being open. We've gone multiple times. And that actually kind of, really briefly, we're going to touch on that. Many questions about, not many, but a few about, oh, you guys went to a cast preview. Why were you so nervous about getting tickets for opening day? And I believe I said this before, but opening day and cast preview, very different, and we knew that going into it. There's just a whole different energy, both beautiful, unique energies that I'm so grateful we got to experience.
I wouldn't have traded either of those experiences for one or the other. Can I just, I'm going to rewind real quick and just say, thank you to Victor for creating this amazing 3D. I don't know how he did it. I think with this 3D printer, but it's wood.
It's wood. Okay.
It's a Best Life and Beyond logo, and it's unbelievable. So
yes, thank you, Victor.
Put it in the shot. We love you, Vic.
And we'll probably get some more around it, but just for right now, that's kind of what we got.
We're usually simple in our background looks or whatever, but we wanted to put that in there because it's so awesome. Anyways, sorry to interrupt. Back to the what we were talking
about.
Not
like I don't interrupt you ever.
Oh, that's true. So
never. Have I ever interrupted Spencer?
Oh my gosh. So that's just one that I'm getting you back on. Anyways, the cast preview difference to the opening day, it was super special. I mean, I didn't know what to expect for the cast preview in a sense. I've been to, we did the Touch of Disney one, but that was for an event. It wasn't for an opening of a park. And so,
I mean, they had their similarities, but they also had their differences where there was, and we were pretty right about it. Like we had said, if you watched our getting our tickets video, we knew there was going to be this like more, I don't know what the word is, like intimate, different vibe. It was very laid back, very different from opening day, which was high energy, emotion. It was very different, and both so unique and so wonderful. We actually went to 2 cast previews, by the way.
We did, and there was still emotion in both of them.
Oh gosh,
because, there was some people had asked us or had mentioned that like, hey, is it going to mess with your first time going back to Disneyland? Because our first time going back in was for the cast preview. And so some people thought that would tarnish our experience on opening day, which it didn't, and we knew it wouldn't. But I was curious myself what
it would do,
the differences of how I would feel.
Right.
And I think that I was more emotional on the opening day, ironically, than I was. I think I was more shocked on the cast preview, as we had mentioned in the vlog.
I would agree.
Right.
I'd say I was a little bit more in shock those 2 days.
Yeah.
And then, actually, I don't know. The first day back, I was in shock. I went from shock emotion,
Yeah.
shock emotion. And you were more shocked the whole time, and then emotion hit you on opening, like actual public opening day.
Yeah.
Another thing that we noticed, and also I'm laughing because our voices are so raspy from screaming on
Well,
rides,
yeah.
and I love it.
Well, I've got my morning voice too, where I'm like kind of got a DJ voice right now, the D timbre.
But we did notice a big difference. So first of all, we'll tell you the differences, but one of the obvious things that people ask about is the capacity. So
Right.
we went on the very first day on the 27th, the preview, and the capacity was, from what we were told, again, we don't know all this stuff. What we were told is that it was 15% capacity, and it felt like it. It felt like it was less than that.
Yeah, so I think some were saying, I had heard a couple people saying that it was like 12 or 13.
Dang.
And
I would believe it.
Definitely felt like it. There was times when you'd look around and not see anybody for quite a distance. And if you watch Adventures in Design, his walkthrough that first day.
Was it on the 27th?
I'm not sure if his was the 27th or the 29th.
I'm not sure either.
But it was a cast preview day nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks around and there's like literally no one around. It's a really special
And that's what it felt like.
look. Yeah, he did a perimeter walk right off the bat when everybody was going to Snow White and Haunted Mansion.
AKA us.
And yeah. But it's really cool. You should check that out.
Yeah, so it was definitely a different capacity. And then the second time we went back, which, by the way, we want to say a big shout out to our friends that took us.
Oh, yeah.
Now, remind you, we have, like, think about it. If you spend all your time in Disneyland or wherever you may spend your time, you find a lot of friends that have similar interests to you, and, you know, some
Well,
of them happen to
anything,
work
like
there.
wherever you are.
But we also have a lot of friends, though, that, you know, we became friends with them, then they became cast members. But again, it's that mutual love of Disney is how a lot of us met.
Yeah.
Whether it be the internet, whether it be just, you know, in our hometown. And I grew up in Orange County. You know, we're very, this is like the weirdest town. You see everybody with AP stickers on their cars. It was common when I was growing up. You know, if you hadn't been to Disneyland, it's like, whoa, you haven't been to Disney. It's common practice here
like
in Orange
you said,
County.
You being in this community, you knew people who worked here because you kind of, a lot of people,
that's a normal thing for me.
In general, people live in proximity to where they work for the most part.
Yeah, some of my friends now are like high ups in Disney, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, dang, I've watched you from a cast member from like, you know, somewhere an entry level position go all the way up, and it's so amazing. But you know, going back to that, so we were so fortunate to be able to go to those cast previews.
Yeah, it was great.
It was
a lot of fun.
awesome. So
it's a great. How do I say it? It's a great thing that they give them that gift, but they also it's a necessary tool for Disneyland to what do they call it?
test and
adjust.
Test and adjust.
It's so that they can get back into the groove. It's like a rehearsal.
And you
dress
definitely
rehearsal.
felt that on those cast member days. Like you felt like they were really like actually practicing.
Yeah.
And they were practicing with people that are like, oh, you know, we get it. We work here. We support you. It's
much like in television and film. When we rehearse, we use stand-ins for the actors and the talent so that we can work out, you know, the things. We want mistakes to happen so that we can adjust accordingly. And when I worked with stand-ins in that job, they would tell me a lot of times, hey, when I walked out, I almost tripped on that thing right there. Maybe you guys, you know, if you want to deal with that, or I couldn't see the teleprompter from that mark because this one light was hitting me, and then we go, oh, okay, now we know. Instead of, you know, a big actor or a host walks out there and we're in it and we're in a live show and we haven't adjusted for that. So that's exactly what they do at Disneyland, is use their people to test and adjust. Therefore, it is, you know, work out the kinks before the public gets there. Who are paying money to be there, and they want their experience to be top notch.
Yeah.
So,
and it's really difficult too. I think that's something we're going to go into a little bit more, is like the experience and is it worth the money, and blah blah blah. We'll kind of touch on that a little bit. But the thing about that is, how do I explain that? I'm trying to think of the word. Well, let me just say, so opening day, like grand reopening day.
Yeah, let's get to that.
Let's go into that, and then we'll kind of, I'm sure we'll touch there. So that grand reopening day, let me just tell you, they brought the energy, these Disney fans. And Spencer had said, by the way, at the end of our opening day, our grand reopening day video, he had said, these are some of the most hardcore, actually you didn't say some of the most, I know that's what you meant to say, but he's like, these are the hardcore people that like waited hours to get tickets and reservations. Yeah. I just want to throw it out there. That wasn't a slight to say that nobody else is any less of a hardcore fan.
Some people took it a little wrong and were like, well, I'm a hardcore fan and I couldn't be there because of this reason or that reason.
Financial, or I'm out of state.
Right. And I wasn't saying that that the only hardcore fans are the ones that are here.
It was a compliment to the people that did make it in.
Yeah, I was just kind of saying that, like, the people who are here fought to get here. It doesn't. I'm not excluding people. There's a lot of hardcore fans.
It was one word that could have changed it. Is it's some of the most hardcore fans, and I think you were delirious after 2 hours of sleep last week.
But
it happens.
It was in an effort to say, also to kind of describe the difference between the cast preview and the opening day. Whereas, sure, there's hardcore fans that were at the cast preview, 100%, but there's a difference in the energy.
These were the guests.
Yeah, and
the hardcore guests.
I don't mean to slight you folks who I know are hardcore fans who couldn't make it that day for a whole host of reasons, so please forgive me for that. I didn't mean to offend anybody or exclude anybody, and Disneyland has hardcore fans around the world who, even if you only come once every couple of years, like our friend Steve Hall, I would consider Steve Hall a hardcore fan. But is he here, or was he here? No, he couldn't be, and he only comes every couple of years because he lives in the UK. Yeah. So my apologies.
Just to clear that up, I just wanted to make sure
I
that
am
was
human. I do make mistakes, so my apologies.
Yeah, it was worded incorrectly, I'd say. But so now we think the capacity for grand reopening day, from what we've heard, it was around 25%. Now the thing is, I don't know why I guess I'm trying to understand why the focus is on the capacity thing for people, because it was enjoyable regardless. Like, I think there's something that we're all missing here, that like, even if there was 90% capacity, it'd be like, it's kind of hard to walk, you have to wait, and ride time's a little bit longer. But at the same time, it's like, isn't it good to see that? Like, I was happy that there was more capacity. I guess too. If you want to walk on rides up, maybe that's where I'm missing.
Well, here's the thing with the capacity, and something that I didn't really think about because of
maybe safety too. I just thought about
safety,
that.
and here's the thing is
I keep forgetting.
In the implementation of all these new rules as far as distancing and all that stuff.
That's why. Yeah.
When you have, it was interesting because when you have a 25% capacity, the lines appear to look like a capacity that would be closer to 70 or 80 because everything is distanced.
Right.
And so when you saw the like, for instance, the Pirates of the Caribbean line, it was doing its thing where they snake the line all the way over towards Haunted Mansion. So what you'd be used to seeing
on like a really crazy busy day is what it looked like.
What it appeared to look like, but it wasn't, because
they're distanced.
They're distanced, and the lines, a line that would normally be an hour for Pirates of the Caribbean was only 30 minutes or less.
Also, there's no indoor queuing, so they're not allowed to do that yet for some reason. Again, we keep laughing because it's like, I've said this a few times, we're allowed to, in California, sit in a movie theater for 2 hours, 2+ hours if it's a long movie. We can sit at a concert for however long, even an indoor concert, that is allowed. You can sit in a restaurant with your mask completely off. Indoors right now, but you cannot be in an attraction for longer than 15 minutes at Disney or any other theme park, and you cannot queue indoors for longer than 15 minutes. So that's why sometimes when you see us, like, confused and like, what? Like, it kind of feels like a personal thing against theme parks. Like, they have the tightest restrictions ever, and you have the company that is the strictest and knows how to enforce and do things correctly.
In my eyes, I think they're the best at it.
The very best.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
We've gone to a few theme parks here or there.
Just a few.
As well as our friends. So I guess that's what we're talking about, where those queues seem really long. Also, another thing that I've started to notice is it's different in Florida, where I think you are allowed to queue indoors for more than 15 minutes, because Rise of the Resistance, we went through the whole queue. I'm just trying to pull long queues out of my head.
The pre-show for Rise still exists in Florida. You're distanced on markers and everything, but we don't have it.
A part of the pre-show. It's the part with Ray and BB-8.
Right.
That doesn't exist here in California now.
But it's, last thing I'll touch on those queues is, yes, it appears that the lines are extremely long. Like the line for Snow White goes all the way through Fantasy Fair and out to the hub. Next to where the old donut cart used to be.
Yeah.
And when you see that, I did it even knowing that it was, and it was like, oh my gosh, and we asked, how long is this line? And the guy goes 35 minutes, and I'm like,
no way.
This seems like a 2-hour line.
And it was actually a little bit less. I want to say from that spot was 27 minutes. I kind of looked at my phone. I think it might have been about 20 to 27 minutes when they said 35.
Right.
So they're kind of overestimating.
That's something to expect when you go. Don't be surprised about it and think, wow, what's the deal? The lines are long.
And that's the other thing about those lines is it's kind of, again, because it's that, and then it can get very hot. I know it's not Florida heat, I know. But the sun, don't take it for granted here in California.
Yeah.
Bring a sunbrella, bring a hat, wear your sunscreen, because we can't indoor queue, and it's not fun. I'm not going to lie to you.
I got a little toasted on the first preview day.
It is not fun. It is not great.
And opening day was hot.
Plus you're kind of stressed. I know for me, I'm stressing the entire time I'm in a line for queue. Sometimes I don't want to do rides at Disney right now because I'm stressed with the 6-foot thing, because I tend to just kind of either go forward or go back. I'm worried about, this is what goes on in my head. But
there's something going on in there?
No, yes there is. I'm worried, like, are those people in front of me, are they like measuring every 6 feet? Oh no, is Disney gonna get me in trouble? Oh my gosh, like, am I 6 feet from these people? Am I 6 feet from these people? But you're also moving in line, because the lines go quick as well. So there's just this whole new level of stress that I'm not used to, that I used to love about Disney, where I could just sit in a line and you talk to your friend. It's carefree.
Well,
so now
Katie's doing like Instagram, so she's got her head down.
So
sometimes,
what was
come on, we gotta move.
Yeah. So what was once a very carefree, nonchalant thing of standing in a queue has now become this very stressful, in my opinion, a stressful situation, following markers, looking here, avoiding the sun, being extra hot. I loved the Indiana Jones queue. I liked sitting in that cave for like, however long, and doing this for however long, watching the little video for however long. So not having that, it's a little bit of a drawback, to be honest with you.
Right.
But that drawback outweighs, I'm still in Disneyland. Would I rather be having the stress of sitting in that queue all day? I would take that stress times 10 to be back at Disney.
And I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. And it's like you speak about Indiana Jones. The minute you get into the temple, the indoor part of the queue, you never stop until you get there.
They're doing it because you're queuing outside farther back.
I know, but I know that, but I'm just saying they're achieving it, and I'm like, how are they achieving it? Because of the timing. You have to be very time conscious in how you let people go in.
I
because
think it's cameras.
Oh, okay. But
and then they're communicating.
However they're doing it, however they're doing it though, what I'm trying to say is it's impressive.
It is.
And they're doing it perfectly. Like, it's one thing to time it for pirates. You get to the door, you can kind of see pretty much the route from the door to a degree, and I'm sure there's somebody on the other end saying, okay, send them. It's a shorter queue. But for Indiana Jones, to keep it the way it's a long thing, go through there, and then you see the video with Sala in that one room.
Right.
They do a great job.
Which they actually cut that video. All it is the what
safety spiel.
That's it. You don't see the the 1920s talk. You don't see that part, which again, we know all of this will come back. And again, like I said, for any small grievances or complaints, if you will, like I have the whole, like, I hate the outdoor queuing only thing. Again, I said it 5 seconds ago. I would take that in a heartbeat to be back there, though.
Yeah. Well, I said it when we were tired and we were beat down.
I'd rather be tired and beat down at Disneyland.
When you walk back to your car, you walk back to your car at the end of the night at Mickey and Friends, and you're like, oh my gosh. And we said it to each other, like, I am so destroyed. But I would take this over the
being
previous
stuck
year
at home,
any day long,
nothing.
and I would take.
Also, that's a good thing. Prepare yourself, because you walk in with such joy down that tram route, and which, by the way, the parking structure. A lot of questions about that. The parking structure seems to be opening about, I don't know, 2 hours earlier, but I don't know all that.
It could be different.
A lot of people ask that, and we don't know, and I don't want to give you this definitive information and then be wrong, because they can always adjust it. It's up to the street. There's Ball Road, there's Harbor,
it's up to
all
Anaheim
these things.
PD as well, as far as.
So my best recommendation is at least show up there 1 hour early. 2 if you can, just to kind of keep an eye on it. Worst case scenario, go get McDonald's, go get Starbucks, something like that. But I can't consciously give you like this hard set time, and I've been asked that thousands of times.
Yeah, what time should I get there?
Uber if you want to, that's another good option, because this is what I want to tell you. You walk into Disneyland and you've slept pretty well. You've at least got 3 hours of sleep if you're excited. You're ready to get into Disneyland. You're rocking and rolling. So you're skipping down that dang tram route. When you're going into Disneyland.
Not when you're on your way back.
When you're on your way back, you've just you're on wow. But you've had a whole day at the parks, and then if it's a hot day like it was Grand Reopening Day, that walk back to your car is just this.
As Justin would say, his term that he came up with a long time ago, the long, lonely walk of loneliness.
Right, and even if
it's
we
not
with
lonely
the friend,
anymore,
we're gonna say it's the long walk of painfulness.
Yeah.
Because your body is in a. Oh my goodness, like I'm telling you, we've done it now multiple times. It is not fun. So what I want to say to prepare for that is don't overdo it. You remember that you have that, because we forgot multiple times, and we realize it towards the end of the day. You're walking through the door. Oh crud. It's not going to be fun.
Now let's talk about the harbor entrance a little bit, because you still can't enter.
Which we did.
The harbor entrance, which we did yesterday.
But we also didn't do that at rope drop. Again, there's very different things. If you're going rope drop or you're going like we did, we showed up at 1 o'clock, walked right in. It was easier than it was just like walking into downtown.
We did a DCA day that you will eventually see on the vlog, and Charlie was staying in one of the local hotels, and so he picked us up, and then we walked, from his hotel over to Harbor. And
because you still do have to pay the $25 in the parking structure, by the way.
Correct.
So even you annual pass holders, a lot of you guys were asking that. Thank you for bringing that up.
And that was one of the main reasons way back when I got a season pass or an annual pass, was that parking started adding up. That $25 started adding up pretty quickly, and I did the math, and I was like, well, I have to get the pass that has parking, but just be aware of that. And and then once you're in the park, we'll jump to that kind of vibe.
Well, what were you talking about with Harbor, though? You said Charlie picked us up, and then
no, I was just saying that Harbor is an option, and people
if you're more like at the hotel or you're Ubering. I would suggest, if you're gonna do that, I mean, you can do it anytime.
Well, I think that there are still some local hotels offering parking, but it's just the same price as going to Mickey and Friends.
I don't think they're doing that anymore. I don't think they are, because they have guests that they have to accommodate for.
All right. Well, what about Garden Walk? Anybody parking at Garden Walk?
That I don't know.
Probably, because Garden Walk is kind of a ghost town, and
the max parking there is $30. So you're gonna walk farther, and you're gonna there's no point to that.
Anyways,
unless you're paying. But anyway.
Regardless, there are 2 ways to get in. Once you're in Disneyland, it seems pretty normal for the most part. The thing that's a little different is, the queuing and the shops and all that kind of stuff. They're still trying to keep the capacities, the awareness of the capacities in the shops. We didn't have a problem.
No, I think the capacities are almost back to normal because I think we're supposed to go in the yellow tier pretty soon, but I
Yeah.
think the capacities they're monitoring it, and so making sure it doesn't get overloaded. But I wanted to go back real quick to the tram route. The one thing I did want to focus real quick, because some things that have worked for us is, and again, these are kind of a splurge, but these Hoka shoes have saved us.
Yeah.
You know,
Hoka, Hoka,
Yeah, Hoka.
like it sounds.
as you saw in our walking around Disneyland video, Spencer had his new shoes. Now that you've worn them for a week of each day we've walked at the park, we've walked around 9 miles for the last 4 or 5 days. So why don't you share how the review of that real quick before we get down
right.
Main Street.
Now, there are other options, you know, for shoes, and like these are more kind of athletic style shoes. You know, I often have worn Vans most of my life, and so the difference is, you know, it's vastly different, and you have it allows you to have a lot more time walking around, because I don't think I would have had the success I had, as far as, you know, now I still had sore feet by the end of the day, but not.
I would say on a scale from 1 to 10, and I would say the same for mine. I wear they're called Bondi 7 in the Hokas for women's, and then Spencer got the Challenger ATR, I think is what they're called, in Hokas. There's a couple of different kinds. There's like trail, running, walking,
Right.
whatever. So those are the two that I got. I also have another pair, but what I use specifically for the parks are those. But I would say on a scale from 1 to 10, in any other shoes I've ever worn, Nikes, even my Cloud Tech 9, whatever those are good too. But now that I've had the Hokas, I can't go back. And again, they are such a splurge, but it's an investment in your feet, because
Yeah.
on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being I can't walk anymore, I physically can't stand up.
Yeah.
I would say my feet were sore on a level maybe at the worst of 4. And that was it.
Yeah.
Like, and then that was it.
Well, it was interesting for
What
me.
were yours, by the way? Like the highest it got to of all like soreness.
I'd probably say a 4, like on that, you know, third day.
Where they're kind of like achy, but they don't.
But it was interesting
Yeah.
because what it did was my feet were fine, but then like my legs and my calves and my
Yeah.
knees were feeling it, because it had to transfer somewhere, and so.
Well, you're picking them up and moving them from, you know, regardless. So
Yeah, but
your feet can
that
only
was
do
how
so much.
But that was how I told the difference, was like my feet were not hurting as equally as my knees and my calves were hurting. So clearly my feet were being coddled and had more stamina in them, so to speak, than my knees and my calves, because based on my knees and my calves, my feet should have been falling off.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that it's really important. The other important thing that that we've been doing is, you know, dressing appropriately, looking at the weather first, because that first day was extremely hot, and then yesterday was kind of cool, and
Yeah.
so we both packed sweatshirts, and you know, I know sometimes that goes without saying, but really try to look at the weather. I like to look at the high for the day, and then look at the low around the time that, you know, the last
Judge
couple
your
hours.
time, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because yesterday
yeah.
it said 64 by like, you know, 6 o'clock or whatever, and for Katie that's really cold. For me, it's just a light sweatshirt.
But pay attention too, because you got to look at like the time part of it, because there's you can stay on Main Street an extra hour after to go shopping. They kept that rule, which thank goodness. So you know you're going to be staying as late as 8 o'clock if you plan to do your shopping
For
then.
the hours that are in existence now.
Right now, yeah.
The hours are going to
May
extend
14th, they extend to 9 p.m. So
Right,
you'll be able to
which
stay as
means
late as 10.
10 o'clock.
So
Right.
so look at the hours there. If you know you're going to be there, like you definitely want to make sure you pack accordingly.
Yeah.
The other thing that you are able to pack is a lunch, snacks, waters. Bring water, stay hydrated when it's
because-
sunny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, for us, we're on this strict diet right now, so it's very helpful. Katie's gone out of her way to make us these lunches that are amazing, and that's why I've been wearing a backpack. I normally don't. I used to a long time ago, then I phased out of it and just hold my
I
camera.
kind of phased out a bit too. Fanny pack I would do.
But we each have a backpack with our own lunch in it, and so that's been working great. let's talk briefly about mobile ordering, because that's a big deal, and that's something that folks who are just planning on eating at the park.
We did plan on mobile ordering a few things just so that we'd be able to talk to you guys about it and know, like,
and reservations
that
for restaurants, but let's cover that a little bit, because it's something that in the beginning, you know, they were having to adjust and figure that out, and it's not an easy thing, because prior to this, mobile ordering existed, but it was an option. Now it is like,
now the counter ordering is like somewhat of an option here. There, you can't mobile order at Starbucks, by the way,
right.
And that line goes all again. You can't indoor queue in Starbucks, so just
don't be discouraged when you see a line down Main Street all the way to the cinema.
It does take a while, though. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
The Starbucks one takes a long time because you also have to wait for your drink. So, oh my gosh, just be prepared.
But the mobile ordering, plan ahead. Don't wait until you're starving to mobile order. Like,
right,
try to plan ahead.
Yeah, there was a Dole Whip. Again, because remember, they're running on. They're not full steam ahead yet.
Right.
They're doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
And there was a Dole Whip situation. I think people had to order 2
the
hours.
Dole Whip situation.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
They had to order 2 hours in advance.
Yeah.
Because it was taking that long. So just be advised that you know, keep an eye on it. Look around. We, on grand reopening day, we were with our friends and they wanted to order some like kind of late lunch breakfast. It was around 11 by the time we got done with the party on Main Street, basically. And we packed our lunches, so we thought, okay, let's find a place to go and eat, and you know, you guys get food and we'll sit down and eat.
But the mobile order wait time at that point
was almost an hour, so you have to be conscientious of that. Also, Red Rose didn't have breakfast. Again, that was around 10:45, 11, because David and I were looking at his, and he was like, "Oh, they don't have breakfast." So they're pretty limited. You know, you can buy yourself bottles of water. You can refill your bottles. You can refill your bottles of water.
There you go.
Over in, we specifically saw Rancho del Zocalo, you know, our original place where we could do that. Galaxy's Edge, we refilled water bottles there.
The Dianoga refill.
Yes. So as you probably saw in the video, I think that's out. Yes, it is. So
I don't know if I put that in the video.
Okay, maybe you didn't. Well, you know, you can refill your water bottles.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can buy them, you can refill them, but that'll save you some money and some time and some effort. Yeah. Although you're not going to get very cold water, you could ask for a cup of ice. Some places are doing this. The whole COVID rule thing is very, you know, it's hard to manage sometimes. You're kind of like, what can I do? What can I do? We're all doing the best we can, though.
So, yeah, plan ahead for mobile ordering.
And then, pack your lunch, though, if you can. Honestly,
it really
pack
helps,
yourself
especially
lunch.
Right now, you know, in the climate that we're in. It helps. Or at the very least, bring some protein bars and some things to just hold you over until you can get your mobile order.
And another good hack, too, is to bring your flip-flops. We always tell people, bring your flip-flops, because you can change your shoes and go on water rides. If you're in Florida, it rains there a lot. You have your flip-flops, you're not going to get soggy feet, because that like soggy feet feeling is the most uncomfortable thing, and it could give you any moisture in your shoes. You can get athlete's foot. Just don't do it. So
you don't need that trench foot.
And it's really easy to carry in your backpack some flip-flops. Also, lockers, non-existent. The only lockers we saw, and again, I don't even know if I saw them being utilized, but the only lockers we saw were outside of the park.
Yep.
My guess is because they're open air, but then that wouldn't make sense because over at DCA, they have open air locker room and it was closed.
But you know, those little hallways are very tight, and anytime if you've experienced lockers, you're always kind of like when other people are coming to go to theirs, and you're like, oh, sorry, let me sneak by you there. So that's probably why that's in existence. The other thing is the train right now is closing at 3:00, with the park closing at 7.
Something else was closing early too.
So take note of that if you want to do the train. Do it early, because come 3:00.
Also, with the amount of space on there, you could be looking at a potentially very long wait for the train.
Yeah.
So we highly recommend doing that as one of your first rides. If you want to do a Grand Circle tour, get on it. Make it one of your first things you do.
Yeah.
Because the line for Snow White and some of those more popular attractions like, you know, Haunted Mansion, I didn't see Haunted Mansion go over an hour. I didn't.
No.
And even if it is posted as an hour, it goes by so quick.
Right.
So
the other thing though to mention there is that it didn't go over an hour, but it was pretty full the whole day as far as you know.
So that's something, if you can stay later, try and save the more popular attractions. I know it's hard to wait, but try and save them towards the end of the day, because you're not going to be in that, you know, intense sun. That's why our perfect day, what you'll notice that we do a lot is we get there early. If we're doing a full day, right? Let's say we're doing a whole like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're going to get on the most attractions that we can in the morning. They're not going to be necessarily the most popular attractions, but for instance, we would likely do the train first. We would do some of the more popular attractions like Indiana Jones, something that is like outdoor queues that are more in the sun. We're going to do that a little bit earlier. Then towards lunchtime, when the sun's at the highest point, that's when we're going to take a break, have our lunch, and I'm talking an extended lunch, like where we will sit and enjoy the ambiance. We might even, you know, look in stores when it's air conditioned.
Yeah.
We're going to do stuff like that around that time. And then the end of the day is when we're just going to go balls to the walls and just get on attractions left and right, because we're not standing outdoors. We're looking at the sunset. We're walking around the park.
And with that in mind, what we generally do is we'll pick one attraction, maybe or two, to say like, what are we going to do last? Because as long as you are in the queue for your last attraction before, like as long as you're in there at 6:59 in that queue, you're good. So we have often said, let's do Haunted Mansion last. And so we kind of back time the day accordingly to say like, okay, as long as we can get over to Mansion
or
last.
Like opening day, we did Snow White last. So it kind of depends on what you want to, you know, do.
But keep that in mind, you know, that as long as you get in that line by 6:59, you know.
Another question was, are they checking IDs? We didn't see that all the time. Maybe like twice when we went, they checked IDs. So I don't know what makes them do that.
Yeah, I haven't had.
We haven't personally, but people we've been with, they've checked IDs.
Right.
Now, again, I think it might have to do with your. We don't know the whole system. I don't know that, so I don't want to get too into that. I don't know all the rules. All I know is I did see some ID checking.
Yeah.
Not us personally. That's all I know about that. The next question is about reservations. I've seen a lot of those questions. So as far as your reservation goes, and I want to say this is like Shanghai or Tokyo, it's kind of like their system, where if you are booking a reservation with your ticket, so when you actually make the reservations, you select the ticket first, right? Then you make the reservation. So that reservation is linked to that certain ticket. So I have...
Like whether the ticket is a park hopper?
It doesn't matter what it is. It's that barcode.
Yeah.
So say the barcode is 0012. And then I have a couple of other tickets. I have, you know, for Spencer, I have 0015, 0018, 0016. I have, obviously that is what we have. We have like 30 tickets because we're booked as far as we can go. We're booked 60 days out, right?
Like I said, that barcode ticket is either a single park or it's a park hopper, and it's specific to those.
It's specific to the dates that we have actually linked, right? So I wanted to test it. So when we went to DCA yesterday, I had 50 of Spencer's, you know, tickets pulled up. Well, not 50, but like 10 of them, right?
Take Katie's
and she had to scan them multiple times. Nope, that didn't work. Nope, that didn't work. Now the ticket I'm talking about specifically in this instance was a 3-day ticket. So I booked him the 30th, the 1st, and the 2nd, right? So yesterday was the 1st. So we had already used it, but so I had her scan a couple different ones just to double check, and she wanted to know as well, so it was kind of a good thing. None of the other tickets worked, only the one that was linked to that reservation. Right. Now, another thing that you can do is with that QR code that they give you when you make a reservation, it'll say the last 4 digits of that barcode, and on that barcode, that's how you'll know if you go into your multiple tickets, you'll be like, oh, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, that is linked to this reservation for today. So if you need to find it, that's how you would find it. You do not need to scan that QR code. Again, just like I was saying, it is all linked to the actual ticket.
Which is a good thing, I think. It makes it easier.
Sure is.
Especially when you have multiple reservations and tickets like we do. So that was cool. What else can people expect from their experience? Now, you know what's interesting is there's plexiglass in some of the queues. And the other thing I noticed with the queues, make sure to pay attention to the markers, because what they've done is very smart. Unlike some other places that I've been, which I'm not going to mention, the markers, okay, so you know how you have distance in lines for the person in front of you and the person behind you. Obviously, they've got a 6-foot marker, right? Mm-hmm. Well, when you have a queue that snakes like this, where you're in this line and then it eventually snakes around and then there's another line next to you that you're eventually going to be there, I always questioned this and said, what about the lateral distance between the two lines? Not just the front and back, but the side to side of the line right next to you. They have accommodated that. And there won't be a marker next to another marker in another line. Does that make sense, laterally speaking?
Well, that's also the reason they have that plexiglass. But even then,
just so I can make my point clear.
Okay, because I thought you made it.
No, my point is...
It was like, and?
No, my point is, and I've made this mistake, is why I'm saying this to you guys. You might not see a marker sometimes for more than 6 feet. And it's confusing because you're like, wait a minute, like, did they miss a marker? No, the reason there is no marker is because they don't want you next to somebody in a line that's next to another one. They don't want that lateral 6 foot to be breached.
So what do you do then?
You pay attention to the marker you're on and you wait on the markers. They have spaced them for a reason. Mostly forward to backwards, it'll be 6 foot, 6 foot, 6 foot. And sometimes you'll get to a turn to go up the next, row next to you, and there won't be a marker for like 12 feet. And you're like, is that a mistake? Should I go further, because the people ahead of me now are like 12 feet away. But there's a reason for that, because they don't want you next to each other.
I so didn't understand what you were saying. Now I get it. But also, though, some of those, just in case somebody's not paying attention, they also had the foresight. That's why I was like, what do you mean? Because there's plexiglass. So they also have that foresight for if you're not paying attention, because I don't pay attention.
No.
And if I do, I'm stressed about it. Like I said, it overwhelms me. And again, I have diagnosed ADHD, and it's very hard for me to pay attention to multiple things like that. I don't do well with it. It's just not in my nature. It's very hard for me. So they've thought of that, though, for people like myself that can't pay attention to those little details, and they've put up plexiglass in those areas. Now,
there's certain areas, right, where they're not doing the lateral distance.
Even with you, no, but they are, though, that if you were to pay attention to the markers, like you're saying, but they also have plexiglass for the people that are still going to walk in.
In certain situations.
Yes.
Not in all
every
of them.
attraction.
I didn't see it at Peter Pan, is why I'm saying this.
Yeah.
But like Big Thunder, when you're going up the stairs, that last stretch of stairs before you get to the attraction, there's plexi, because they're not controlling that lateral 6 foot. But my whole point is that they've done a great job with that, and they've thought of that, because I've seen it in other places, not just theme parks, but where they're controlling the forward and backward distance, but they're not controlling the lateral. So it's like, am I missing something here? You know what I mean?
Even then, with the lateral thing, the queues are moving so quickly.
Yeah.
You're not going to have these long periods of time that you're used to, where you're sitting next to a person. I mean, it doesn't really happen.
And you don't just move one mark at a time. Sometimes you'll move 3 marks.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and they've done a very good job of space. They think for you a little bit, again, which is something I need to be better about it. I try, but again, my brain doesn't work that way, and I'm not even mad at myself about that. Especially because I go and I'm just like, dee, 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 dee.
Yeah, she's looking down, but here's the other good thing that I saw.
But they do, though. The cast members help
and they do it in a very
that.
polite way. They're the best at it. I noticed when we were hanging out on Main Street, we curved up for a little bit, almost like you would for a parade. A lot of people were doing that and taking a break, and they were controlling the distance between the groups that were sitting on the curb. So if we were in a group of like 5 or 6 people sitting on the curb, and there was another, like a family also sitting on the curb, they would come by and say, hey, you guys, are you guys together? Okay, we're going to need you to kind of spread out a little bit.
Yeah, they did
And
that.
so that's, very helpful. And I think that, they've thought of everything. They really have. They've overthought it, which you have to do in these situations.
They really go the extra mile, and that's a lot. So always, again, if you get a second, thank those cast members because
they're working
that is
extra
work
hard.
that they didn't sign up for.
No.
Like I didn't sign up to be a social distance watcher.
No.
I didn't sign up to monitor if you're 6
And-
feet apart and you're wearing your mask and you're doing this, that, and the other.
Right.
They're doing double the work.
And
honestly, double the work. Let's be honest.
And also,
not as much staff either.
And also, let's not forget, some of these people have not been there. Well, most of them haven't been there over a year. So even adjusting back to your normal responsibilities is going to be a little,
that's going to be
difficult.
daunting in and of
but
itself.
you've got this whole new layer that you have to think about. So you're working extra hard.
And let's not mention they're wearing a mask. Half of them are wearing a mask and a face shield.
Yeah.
And you try walking around again. If you haven't done that yet, go ahead and do
Yeah.
that, and let me know how good you
I
do
had
in
to
the
do it.
blinding
I had
height.
to do it when I was
Yeah.
stage managing, and it was
And that's in an air-conditioned building. I want
Right.
you to do that with the general public in 100-degree weather with the sun beating down on you and long sleeves on, and you let me know how good you do.
and still put out a really
A
magical,
magical
beautiful
vibe.
vibe.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to mention was some people have expressed, I don't want to go to a theme park and have to wear a mask and do all this weird stuff. I'm not doing it. It's going to mess with my experience. I completely understand, and I, if that's how you feel, like more power to you, and that's all good.
Yeah, I hate
But
the mask.
I will say, David and I talked about this. There are times, this is just me personally, and David as well, when you completely forget because they've done such a good job, as they always have done with the magic and the theming and everything, that you're just so caught up in it that you forget about all this stuff going on, which is that's why you go there in the first place.
And again,
is to
I'm
leave
glad
the other world behind.
I'm glad you prefaced that with that's how you guys feel. I've talked to a few people. It's so funny. It really is almost like 50-50, where there's people that are like, there was a lady I walked past in the store, and she's like, you guys, I gotta go. I can't do this mask thing for this much longer. Yeah. She's like, it's been 6 hours and I'm done. Like, I am physically done with it. So it just depends on your personality type. But we can say for us I hate the mask. I want to burn them all. I can't wait until I can have a bonfire, and I will burn them all and never look back.
We're happy to comply and to do
I will
what we
comply
have to do.
till I'm blue in the face. And so for somebody who loathes the mask as much as I do, I have to say there's times where I too have forgotten it's on me.
Yeah.
You have to find the mask type that works best for you. Also, that's a big thing.
Those new Disney masks, by the way,
the one you have right there.
This mask, the Magic is Back mask is one of the best ones. Charlie agrees that we've gotten the whole time.
So you wear an XL.
I wear an XL.
And then I wear about a medium. I notice I like mine. So what we've noticed is you kind of have to find what works for you. For us, I like it to be tighter on my face, and I feel more comfortable with that. Now, again, it might be my anatomy, but it works well with my ears. You like them a little bit more loose fitting, correct?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. That's just because I hate when it pulls on my ears when it's too tight.
So again, it might be your anatomy that it pulls on your ears, where for me, it doesn't. I guess like the curvature of my ears, it doesn't really pull or tug.
Yeah.
It fits, it's better for me that way.
Yeah.
So that being said though, if you're wondering about how it is, that's the best we can give you as of right now.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to slam you with Disney content because we're staying true to ourselves. I know that we said we didn't want to be an exclusive just Disney channel, and we don't. You'll still see home vlogs. You're still going to see these things. But right now, as Disneyland's reopening and our new love for Walt Disney World, you're going to see that for a little bit.
Because we didn't have it for so long, and this is, even if we didn't have a channel, this is what we would be doing at the time. Careful to...
oh, sorry.
Yeah, not shake the camera. This is Best Life and Beyond. We live our best life, and however that happens, that's what you see. If it means going on trips at certain times and doing things like that, that's us living our best life right now. This is how we want to live our best life. Forgive us if you follow this channel for other reasons and you can't handle the Disney trip. We're going to be doing other stuff. Don't worry. It's just that right now, this is what we
give us a little bit of time.
Give us some Disney time. We got to catch up with our Disney. And with that said, we're gonna wrap up this.
Yeah, sorry it went a little long, but we had a lot to discuss, a lot of questions to ask. Thank you guys for being so supportive as always. We appreciate it.
Yeah, if there's any questions that we didn't cover, please leave a comment and we will hopefully get to that and follow up with you, because I know that we probably didn't cover everything, even though we tried. And stay tuned for more amazing journeys through the parks. And
if you enjoyed this video, though, you can let us know by giving it a thumbs up, and you can always subscribe to our channel.
That's right. And we will see you guys next time on Best Life and Beyond. Bye-bye, everybody.